morning, beloved. The sun rises not only to warm the earth, but to remind us you are still here. You have been chosen by the miracle of breath to live one more day. And not just to live, but to devote this day to purpose, to truth, to something higher than your pain and deeper than your fear. Now I speak to those who have felt the age of midnight tears, to the women who've whispered, God, are you listening? To the men who've bent beneath the weight of invisible burdens, to the soul who stands at the edge of hope, unsure if light will ever find them again. This is your morning, and this morning I invite you into a devotion that doesn't just change your schedule, it changes your soul. Morning devotion. My loves is not a ritual of time, it is a revolution of spirit. It is the sacred act of meeting God before you meet the world, before emails, before traffic, before the judgment of man, before the bills scream your name, before the news feeds fear into your bloodstream. Sit still, sit soft, sit surrendered. Whisper this, Lord, I'm here, use me. Lord, I'm tired, heal me. Lord, I don't know what's next, lead me. You see, when you rise and you center your heart on the divine, the rest of the world must adjust its rhythm to your peace. You no longer chase validation, you stand in revelation. You are no longer defined by your wounds, you are shaped by your worship. There is something sacred about the morning. Before the noise creeps in, before the phones light up, before the mouths of men begin to speak at you, there is a hush, a stillness, a whisper of heaven that dances between the veil of sleep and wakefulness. That, my dear, is not just time, that is invitation. You see, when the sun opens her golden eyelids and stretches light across your window, it is not merely another day. It is a gift delivered fresh from the hand of God, untouched, unstained, unspoken for. And before you surrender it to the demands of others, you must first surrender it to the giver of all things. Start your day with God. I don't mean glance at a Bible verse as you scroll through your feed. I don't mean a mumbled prayer as you pour your coffee. I mean sit still. Still enough to hear your heartbeat. Still enough to hear His voice. Still enough to remind your soul who reigns over this day, over this body, over this breath. Because the world is noisy, child. It will rush at you with voices and images and opinions. It will tell you what you should wear, what you should fear, what you should chase. But when you begin your day with God, you remember that you are already enough, already chosen, already wrapped in glory. Starting your day with God is not about checking a box. It is not about being a good Christian or looking holy for others to see. No, it is about survival. It is about spiritual armor. You would not walk barefoot on hot coals and call it bravery. So why walk into this world without covering yourself in prayer? There are people who wake up with cows in their chest and confusion in their minds. They step into traffic, into meetings, into marriages, without first stepping into the presence of the one who holds the answers. And then they wonder why the day collapses like a house with no foundation. But oh, when you begin with God, you move slower but with certainty. You speak less but with wisdom. You fear less but believe more, because your morning becomes your mountaintop. It is the place where you see clearly, where you remember who you are and whose you are, where you don't just wake up, you rise up. Let the first voice you hear be His. Not the bills, not your ex, not your doubts or regrets. Let the first voice be that still small whisper that says, Beloved, I am with you. Because when you know you are not alone, courage starts to stretch its legs, hope starts to breathe, peace begins to dance. And child, if you don't know what to say to God, say this: thank you for waking me up. Thank you for another chance. Thank you for mercy I did not earn, and grace I cannot repay. Because gratitude, my loves, is the gate that swings open to joy. It is hard to be bitter and grateful at the same time. It is hard to complain when your soul is counting blessings. When you thank God in the morning, your problems may not vanish, but your perspective will change. And that, my dear, changes everything. Do not underestimate what 5 minutes with God can do. The world will try to seduce you with urgency. Check your messages. Answer that call. Get to work. Be productive. Be efficient. But God calls you to be still, to be present, to be filled before you are poured out. I have learned that a woman who starts her day with God is dangerous to the enemy. She is not easily shaken. She does not fold when storms come. She walks into rooms carrying something this world cannot give and cannot take away. She carries peace like perfume and wisdom like a crown. A man who begins with God is not lost chasing validation. He does not perform for applause. He stands firm, rooted like a tree beside still waters, because he knows the source of his strength is not in his hands, but in his knees. You see, my beloved, beginning your day with God is the highest form of self-care. It is the most powerful declaration of faith. It is telling the universe, before I move, I seek my Maker. It is saying to your fear, you don't get to lead today. It is whispering to your past, you have no authority here. It is a holy habit that builds holy people. And even if the day goes sideways, even if the car won't start, the children cry, or the job disappoints, you walk different because you've already been with the King. Because your spirit is anchored, because your morning devotion was your armor and your prayer was your sword. It is not about perfection, child. It is about presence. God is not looking for polished words. He is listening for open hearts. He is not impressed by your eloquence. He is moved by your honesty. Tell him your worries. Tell him your dreams. Tell him what you're too afraid to say out loud. Lay it all there in the morning and then rise. Not rushed, not rattled, but revived. Because when you give God the first of your day, you are saying He is first in your life. And what is offered to Him never returns void. The time you spend with God is never waste. It is invested. It is multiplied. It is soaked with power and seasoned with grace. So tomorrow when the alarm calls your name, don't just rise out of habit. Rise with intention. Let your feet touch the floor like a soldier reporting for duty. Let your lips form the name that breaks chains. Let your soul remember this day is a gift. This life is a gift. And your morning is holy ground. Start your day with God, my love, and watch how the rest of your life begins to change. Words have wings. They are not just vibrations in the air, my love. They are tools. They build. They break. They become the architecture of our reality. And when you rise each morning, before the world has a chance to define you, you must use your own tongue to shape your truth. Speak life over yourself. Not because the mirror tells you you're beautiful, but because the breathe in your lungs says you're still becoming. You are not a finished thing. You are clay still being sculpted by the divine. And in this world that profits from your insecurity, your self-hatred, your silence, it is a revolutionary act to say, I am enough. Speak life. Because death is loud and all too common. Negativity is easy. People spread it like wildfire. But to speak truth, to rise with gratitude, to say with certainty, I will not be defined by my wounds. That takes courage and it takes practice. You must become the kind of person who speaks to herself with tenderness, with awe, with reverence. You must become your own sanctuary. Before you ask the world to believe in you, believe in yourself. Before you run to a man, a boss, a title, a friend for affirmation, stand tall in your own spirit and declare, I am valuable because I was born. I am powerful because I survived. I am worthy because God breathed His image into me. Your voice matters, not just when you speak to others, but especially when you speak to yourself. That voice inside you, whether it whispers truth or hisses doubt, sets the tone for your entire day. So what is it saying? What have you been feeding it? Lies that you are broken, useless, too much, not enough, Or have you been watering your soul with promises and praise? I have seen people bow beneath the weight of their own words. I have watched strong men call themselves weak until their bodies agreed. I have witnessed beautiful women curse their own names until their hearts no longer remember their worth. This is not pudic, baby. It is painful and it is preventable. Speak life. When you rise in the morning and your bones age from the battles of yesterday, say this, yet I rise. When you look in the mirror and all you see are the cracks and lines of time, say this, I am still here. I am still holy. When the day ahead looks uncertain, your money looks funny, your children are wild, your dreams seem far, say this, but God is near. Because words are not simply for conversation, they are for creation. God spoke the world into being. He did not hammer the skies with nails or sew the oceans with thread. He spoke. And if we are made in His image, our words do hold power. Speak what you seek until you see it, not because the world is listening, but because your spirit is. You see, faith cometh by hearing. And sometimes the person who needs to hear your faith the most is you. You need to hear yourself say, I can do hard things. You need to hear yourself say, peace belongs to me. You need to hear yourself say, I am not my past. I am God's promise. There will be days when no one claps for you. Days when nobody calls, when your inbox is dry, when your name is not on anyone's list. That is when you must become your own encourager. You must pull your own soul back from the cliff. You must look yourself in the eye and say, I may not be where I want to be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be. Child, do not wait for applause. The world is too fickle. One minute they cheer you, the next they crucify you. But the Lord never changes and His truth never fades. So plant your feet on that rock and let your words be water to your weary soul. Tell yourself the truth even when it trembles in your throat. Say, I am loved. I am chosen. I am called, I am healing, I am growing, I am forgiven. Tell yourself, yes, I have made mistakes, but I am not my mistake. Tell yourself, yes, I have scars, but they are signs that I lived and I learned and I lasted. Speak it, because if you don't, the lies will fill the silence. The enemy does not need your destruction. He only needs your agreement. If he can get you to say, I can't, then you won't. If he can make you believe, I'm nothing, then you will live like it. So take your words back. Snatch them out of the hands of depression. Pull them out of the mouths of those who misnamed you. Gather them from the shadows of shame and declare again, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Do not only speak it when you feel it. Speak it when you don't. Speak it until your feelings bow to your face. Speak it until your circumstances realign with your calling. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and you, child, have been entrusted with that holy fire. Use it not to curse your day, but to bless it. Use it not to bury your dreams, but to resurrect them. Look in the mirror each morning with kindness. Don't rush past your own face like it is unworthy of love. Look at those eyes. They have seen storms and sunsets. Look at that skin. It holds the stories of generations. Look at that soul. It is not perfect, but it is precious. Tell yourself you are becoming, you are learning, you are rising. And when others speak evil of you, let your own voice be louder. When they say you can't, let your soul shout. But God says, I can. When they say you're finished, let your faith respond. He's not through with me yet. And when the weight of the world grows heavy, speak light. When the night stretches long, speak dawn. When your knees buckle, speak strength. When your heart breaks, speak hope. Speak life, my dear, over your morning, over your mind, over your journey, over your joy, over your name, over your children, over your future. Because when no one else is speaking truth over you, your own voice may be the lifeline that saves you. There is a kind of prayer that doesn't need polish. a kind of prayer that doesn't demand perfect words or poetic phrases. A kind of prayer that rises not from the lips, but from the belly of a weary soul. And it is this kind of prayer, raw, real, reaching, that touches heaven. Too many of us have been taught to pray like actors reading lines. We say what we think we ought to say. We wrap our words in politeness, dress them up for God like Sunday clothes, hoping they'll be acceptable. But baby, God is not moved by rehearsed religion. He is moved by truth. He is stirred by the trembling whisper of a heart that says, Lord, I don't know what I'm doing, but I need you. Prayer is not a performance. It is a lifeline. It is not a task on your checklist. It is the conversation that keeps you breathing when life knocks the wind out of you. It is the deep inhale of trust and the slow exhale of surrender. It is not about saying the right thing. It's about saying the real thing. When you wake in the morning before your feet hit the ground, whisper something honest. You don't have to sound like the preacher or the deacon or the chore mother. You don't have to quote the King James. Just say what your soul is itching to release. Maybe it's thank you for another day. Maybe it's God, I'm scared. Maybe it's Lord, help me not lose my mind today. That is a prayer that is holy. That is enough. Because what matters in prayer is not how loud you speak, but how deeply you believe. Prayer is not magic. It does not bend the world to your will. It bends your will to God's. It is not always answered in ways you expect, but it is always heard. And sometimes, child, when the answer is slow, that is still an answer. Silence is not absence. Delay is not denial. There are things God is building in you while you wait that no blessing could teach. So pray intentionally. Don't just throw words into the sky like loose change in a wishing well. Speak with purpose. Speak like a daughter talking to her father, a son seeking shelter in his Creator. Speak like someone who knows the God of the universe is listening. Not with impatience, but with infinite compassion. Your prayer does not have to be long to be strong. Jesus wept. That was a prayer. Hannah's lips moved but made no sound. That was a prayer. The thief on the cross said, remember me. And heaven opened wide. So do not let the world convince you that prayer must be poetic. Let it be powerful. Let it be personal. Let it be from the well of your true self. There are mornings when your mind is cluttered, your body is tired, and your faith feels like it's running on fumes. That is not the time to stop praying. That is the time to press in, to sit still, to say, God, I don't have the words, but I know you hear the tears. The tears are a language. The sighs are sacred. The silence between the sentences, God hears that too. He knows the weight you carry. He knows the child you're worried about. The bills piling up, the hurt that still sits heavy in your chest. He knows the secrets you haven't spoken to anyone else. And still, He loves you. Still, He waits to hear from you. Not because He doesn't already know, but because He wants you to come close. Prayer is closeness. It is intimacy with the Almighty. It is not a transaction. It is a relationship. And like any relationship, it grows deeper the more time you spend. So make room for it. Not just in crisis, but in the quiet. Not just in need, but in gratitude. Let prayer become the rhythm of your day. A melody that hums beneath the noise of it all. You don't need to wait until you're clean or calm or certain. Come to Him messy. Come to Him angry. Come to Him with the pieces. He is not offended by your confusion. He is not surprised by your pain. He invites it. She says, come to me all who are wearing, not just those who are perfect. And when you pray, listen, prayer is not a monologue. It is a dialogue. Speak, but also be still. Wait for the whisper. It may not thunder. It may not shake the room. But God speaks in nudges, in peace, in scripture, in the sudden clarity that wasn't there before. Listen with your spirit. He will answer not always how you want, but always how you need. There is strength in this kind of communion. People may wonder why you don't break under pressure, why you keep getting back up when life knocks you down. But they weren't there in your prayer closet. They didn't see you on your knees whispering faith when all you had was fear. They didn't hear you say, God, I trust you, with tears running down your face. That's why your morning devotion is sacred. It is the secret place, the meeting point between your weakness and God's strength. It is where the burden lifts, even when the load stays the same. It is where the peace comes, even when the problem remains. It is where you are reminded of who you are and who say you are. You are not alone, child. Every time you bow your head, heaven leans in. Every time you call His name, the angels take note. And every time you pray, something shifts. Even if you can't see it right away, prayer moves things. Sometimes it moves the mountain, sometimes it moves you. So don't rush it. Don't treat prayer like a vending machine. Stay a while. Pour your heart out. Let the Spirit comfort you. Let the presence of God renew you. Let His love wash over you like morning light through an open window. That's the kind of intimacy that will change you. That's the kind of prayer that makes devils flee and hope return. Pray with intention. Pray with heart. And then rise from that place. Not with all the answers, but with assurance that no matter what the day holds, you've already placed it in the hands of the one who holds you. Child, there comes a moment in every soul's journey when the voice of the world grows louder than the whisper of the Spirit. And it is in these moments that you must be still. Not still as in silent only, but still as in rooted, still as in anchored, still as in unmoved by the wind that threatens to blow you off course. You must learn to listen deeply to that gentle guiding voice that does not shout, but calls you by name in the quiet. So often we confuse noise with progress. We run to and fro, filling our calendars and our minds with more and more, all in the name of productivity. But beloved, there is no power in the cluttered soul. There is no peace in the constant of business. You must clear the room of your heart and invite God in to speak. Listening is an art. It is the practice of humility, of quieting your own thoughts, your fears, your assumptions, and leaning in with trust. There are revelations waiting for you in the silence that cannot be found in the noise, but too many of us are afraid to sit still long enough to hear them. We fear what will rise to the surface when everything else is stripped away. But what rises, child, is not your destruction. It is your deliverance. When you listen for God's voice, you begin to notice it everywhere. In the rustling of the trees, in the rhythm of your breath, in the unexpected kindness of a stranger, in the sacred pages of the Word. He speaks through dreams, through interruptions, through closed doors and open ones. But if you're too busy talking, too busy worrying, too busy doubting, you'll miss it. To hear God, you must trust Him enough to hush yourself. And that is hard in a world that teaches us to always have something to say, to fill every space, to fix every silence. But in the stillness, child, there is sacred ground. The Spirit speaks not to impress you, but to instruct you, not to entertain you, but to enlighten you. God is not performing, He is preparing you. But preparation requires attention. When you begin your morning devotion, don't just come with requests, come with reverence, come with a heart that says, "Speak, Lord. Your servant is listening." Not, "Lord, here's what I want," but, "Lord, what do you want of me?" That small shift, that turning of your ear and your will, opens the floodgates of divine wisdom. And let me tell you something, wisdom is not loud. Foolishness shouts. Wisdom whispers. God does not compete with chaos. He waits until you are quiet enough to hear. That's why Jesus often withdrew to lonely places to pray. Not because He needed to be alone to speak, but because He needed to be alone to listen. You must create a space for the holy whisper. A space where the Spirit can walk through the corridors of your heart and speak life into dry places. A space where you let go of your need to know everything and simply rest in the knowledge that God knows, and that is enough. Listening is an act of surrender. It is the laying down of pride, of control, of the need to be in charge. It is an admission. Lord, I don't know the way, but I know you do. And in that admission, beloved, there is power. Because when you surrender your plan, you make room for His purpose. And His purpose will never fail. Have you ever sat quietly and felt the tears fall without warning? That's God speaking. Have you ever felt peace in the middle of a storm you thought would break you? That's God speaking. Have you ever read a scripture and it felt as though it was written just for you, just for today? That's God always speaking, always loving, always leading. But He won't shout over your distractions. You must be intentional about your listening. You must carve out time, space, and stillness. You must say no to the noise so you can say yes to His voice. That means turning off the phone sometimes, saying no to another obligation, waking up early, not to get ahead of the world, but to get in step with the Spirit. And when He speaks, don't dismiss it. His voice may not always sound like what you expect. It may come through the wisdom of a grandmother, through the innocence of a child, through the conviction in your spirit when you're about to walk the wrong way. Don't ignore those nudges. Don't brush off that stirring. That's God. And He's not trying to control you. He's trying to guide you. You see, when you listen, really listen, you begin to walk in alignment. Life doesn't suddenly become easy, but it becomes ordered. You stop reacting and you start responding. You stop chasing and you start receiving. And even when the path is hard, even when it winds through shadows, you know you're not walking it alone because you've heard the voice that says, this is the way. Walk in it. Sometimes God will tell you to wait when everything in you wants to run. Sometimes He'll tell you to go when fear has you frozen. Sometimes He'll tell you to let go when your hands are clenched tight around something you love. And it will hurt. It will stretch you. But oh child, it will save you. So do not despise the quiet seasons. Do not rush to the waiting. Sit with it. Listen in it. God is not only in the breakthrough, He is in the becoming. He is in the process. And the more you learn to Him in the stillness, the more confident you'll be when He calls you forward. Do not be like those who only hear Him in crisis. Be like those who walk with Him daily, whose ears are tuned to the frequency of faith. Be like Samuel who answered, "Here I am," not just once, but until the voice of God became familiar, until it became home. Because that's what His voice is, home. It calms your anxiety. It redirects your steps. It restores your soul. There is no fear in it, no shame, no condemnation, just grooves. Just a father calling his child. So be still, beloved. Be still and know. Not just know about Him. Not just know what the world says, but know Him. Know the sound of His voice in the morning light. Know the peace it brings. Know the courage it breathes into your lungs. Listen, child. Listen. He's been speaking all along. When the sun breaks over the horizon and the sky begins to blush with the warmth of a new day, there is a moment, sacred moment, when time stands still in that golden hush before the world fully wakes. You have a chance to shape the course of your day with your words. Not just any words, but declarations. Bold, beautiful, spirit-filled affirmations that wrap your soul in truth and prepare you to meet the world not with fear, but with faith. That child is the power of speaking life. The tongue is a mighty thing. It can build or it can break. It can curse or it can bless. And what you say over yourself, especially in the quiet hours of the morning, carries weight. If you wake up and declare defeat, discouragement will follow you like a shadow. But if you rise and declare victory, even when you feel broken, even the heavens will rise to honor your faith. You see, words are seeds. And every morning you have a choice of what kind of garden you want to grow. Bitterness, doubt, or joy, hope, and trust. It all begins with what leaves your lips. God created the world with words. Let there be, he said, and there was. And you made in his image. Hold that same power within you. Don't you know, darling, that what you speak over yourself is a reflection of what you believe God can do? If you say, I'll never make it, what you're really saying is, God isn't strong enough to bring me through. But if you say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, then you're not just quoting scripture. You're building a bridge between heaven and earth. You're inviting the miraculous into your ordinary. Every morning, as the D still clings to the petals and the birds begin the Hallelujah chorus, let your first words be ones of life. Before you check your phone, before the demands of the day pile up, before you remember your worries, speak life. Say, I am loved, I am chosen, I am enough. Say, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Say, today is a new day and I will rejoice in it. You might not feel it right away. You might still feel the sting of yesterday's sorrow or the weight of tomorrow's uncertainty. But speak it anyway. Speak it until your soul catches up. Speak it until your faith stands up straight inside you and says, yes, this is who I am. This is whose I am. There is a quiet authority that comes